Today I am heading out to the Kakwa Wildlands for a second time. The last time I was here was in the winter and it was snowing on the drive in, and now it's raining off and on. I just went through a bit of a downpour. I'm gonna try to walk straight through the Kakwa Wildlands into the Wilmore Wilderness Park, possibly come out of Grand Cache or back to my truck. Looking to cover a distance of about 100 kilometers, see what happens. Could be out there anywhere from 3 to 7 days. Lots of mountain scenery to come. And I'm just gonna wait out this rain if I have to. Hello again, September 21st, 2009, Monday. It's about 8:20 a.m. and I just arrived at the Kakwa staging area. So now I'm gonna hike in to the waterfalls and see what I didn't see last time I tried this in March. And actually just behind me there is the outhouse I slept in when it's about -10 and raining. And what a coincidence, it's gonna start raining any second now. It's kind of spitting right now. I'm leaving the truck behind now, heading into Kakwa Falls, and actually I'm just gonna go and take a look at this outhouse here I slept in back in the winter, since it was quite the night. That's Now you see what I was trying to do in March. My batteries froze up in March, I couldn't get footage. The waterfalls were frozen in March as well. But now here I am, mid-September, and the water is flowing strong. I got my hand wrapped in this rope as I ease my way down, basically just sliding. Very slippery. Gotta be careful. Okay, so I drove up the road about a kilometer and a half and I'm leaving my truck on this cut line. I think I found what is the trail to Francis Peak Cabin. It's pretty cold and misty out right now and I'm hitting the road. Looking forward to staying in the cabin, so I really hope I'm taking the right trail here. A little bit of an obstacle here. I reached the Kakwa River again, and the only problem is the trail's on the other side of it. And I got across somehow. It only looks like about a foot of water, but it's pretty icy cold right now. It looks like there's no other way across but then to just cross it. So I gotta take my boots and socks off and walk across these frigid, cold September mountain waters. This is the Kakwa River in mid-September, so it's going to be icy cold. I just do not want wet feet this early. Oh man, that is cold. I definitely did not want to come back for the camera this time. That water is icy cold. Just when I started to think I was gonna break a sweat, I go into bone-chilling water. My feet are beet red just from being in there for 2 minutes. The sad part is I have to cross this stream 3 times because of this. That's just the problem following horse trails. Horse can cross these frigid cold temperatures no problem, cross any river, whereas I nearly get hypothermia trying to cross it. I'm convinced that had this water been up to my waist, I would have absolutely had to make a fire. And worse yet, if I would have tripped and got submerged, I would have been in a serious problem then. I had to watch my steps so carefully in there, and the rocks were pretty jagged and sharp, so it wasn't easy dealing with the cold and the jagged rocks at the same time. But I can't complain now. I got warm, dry boots and socks on again, and I'm heading up this horse trail further, and I don't have to cross the Kakwa anymore. So any other creek should be way easier to cross than this, so the hardest part is behind me. But I do have to cross this exact same spot on the way out, possibly, so got to keep that in mind too. Mount Kakwa. just had this moose acting aggressive. It almost looked like it was gonna charge me, and now it's staring me down. I'm just gonna stay still. This is not good. I'm gonna have to run. I'm bracing myself to run for my life here. This moose is coming close. Whoa! 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 I wasn't too sure if it was actually going to charge me or not. And then I realized once I got behind a couple spruce trees and it came full head on. I'm not sure how much the camera caught, I haven't looked at it yet. But I thought I was safe behind some trees and it came full head on for me. And I ran probably over 100 meters jumping over logs and stuff to come to this cabin. And what a perfect time to have in a life and death situation. I haven't slept in over 24 hours. I just walked over probably 20 kilometers today. I'm beat up and I just outran a moose. Very close. I'm just lucky. What a insane day this has been. A long walk, nearly got ran over by a bull moose, encountered a bear. I'm almost tempted to just leave tomorrow so I can get back in one piece because I got some crazy footage. I just reviewed the footage and the moose is 3 or 4 feet away from the camera charging head on towards me. And I do not want to lose this footage. But I must push on tomorrow. I'm going to go to Trench Creek Cabin. I'm kind of debating if I should stay here all day tomorrow and stay a second night and then leave. But I am going to hit Trench Creek Cabin regardless. Stay there a night. These cabins are amazing. There's a good food supply. I'm actually going to steal a can of pork and beans and hopefully replace it when I come back in October if I do. But I think that's what it's there for when people need it, so I'm going to do it. Hopefully it's not an issue. It's just amazing. I thought I was going to end up having to tough it out in a lean-to in this rain. And now look, I got it. Bed and blankets, it's a nice warm fire. Gonna be cooking some food, it's just heaven right now. Couldn't ask for anything better. In fact, I'm just sitting here writing in the guest book. What a crazy day. I hiked here from Kakwa Falls. I never knew it was that long of a hike. Beautiful scenery. Feels so good to eat this nice warm chili. Right now I could be sitting under a tree in the misty rain, freezing, eating nothing. So this cabin is definitely a bonus to me, and this food here is a bonus. Nice hot meal. Going without sleep when I first started off on this journey was sort of a bad move, but now it's all going to balance out. I'll be able to sleep in. My legs are burnt out, but I'll be able to recover them with this double mattress system I got going. And this food is also going to help. And that's the end of this day. Time to get some sleep. Just making some breakfast here. Now this is the life. It's not too often I get to cook with propane when I'm on these journeys. In fact, I've never had propane stoves on any of my trips. So what an absolute blessing it is right now. Good breakfast. Not going to do much today. Just going to tour around the general area basically with my camera and burn out this battery. See if I can see that moose again, maybe from a distance this time. Maybe I won't have to run for my life again. And then I'm going to focus on cleaning this cabin, because places like this you really got to respect. Mount May. Right behind me, in those couple spruce trees on the hill, that's where the moose was standing when this encounter first started. The camera is exactly where it was when the chase happened, and I'll show you just how far I had to run to get to the cabin. See the cabin there? I had to run. I veered in and out of those trees there, little spruce trees, and now I'll take you to the spot where it charged in front of the camera. Okay, so I was standing right here about 5 meters from the tree cover. The camera was just in front of those bushes there, right about there, and the moose was coming in from that way. And when it dropped its head and ran in front of the camera, this is where I was. So I still had quite a distance. I turned, ran into here. As fast as I could, I ran into these trees. I came running through here. Now, I jumped over this. And now, at this point, I wasn't looking back at all. I came out in the clearing again. When I got here, the pin was still in the door, and I was pounding on that, trying to get it open. I spun around and over my shoulder, and the moose was right there, about 10 meters back, standing and staring at me. I think he was intimidated by the building, the structure, or whatever it was, or maybe it was me pounding on the steel door. But eventually I got the pin out and got inside and waited for the moose to leave. Went and recovered my camera. It's a pretty wild time. Just collecting some water to boil for drinking, and also to do some dishes later on. What a beautiful creek that is. Trying to burn off the rest of the day here. I've only walked about a kilometer. I went and scouted out 2 different trails, trying to figure out which one I need to take tomorrow. And using my compass and GPS, I figured out which one I need to take. Doesn't look like a very well marked trail, but there is little flags hanging that I can follow, and there's always the sign of horses. You see mushrooms all along these horse trails, and that are not too difficult to follow in that sense. But when you're crossing a creek 20 times like I did yesterday, gets a little tricky. So anyways, I'm just gonna prepare something to eat here before I start cleaning this cabin so I can head out tomorrow. And actually I've been reading the journal that's inside the cabin where people sign their names, the little guest book. And this is actually a helipad, which makes sense to me now. It's a nice little meadow, and that's where the moose was grazing, on the little bog birch and stuff and the little willows. So it's all adding up now. I had some nice oatmeal for breakfast this morning. A few hours ago after my hike, I had a dried potato mix for a snack, bit of a lunch, and now I'm having noodle soup. And I've been eating very well on this trip. No need to be hunting on digging up plants on this hike. It's just 10 after 8 p.m. right now. I've had a really good day. I feel recovered. That first day I never slept at all, and now I've got the sleep I need. I slept until 3 p.m. today, got the sleep I needed. I had 2 very good meals today. Well, I had that oatmeal breakfast, some potato mix for lunch, and then that supper I just had, trying to think what it even was now. Noodles. I had noodles for supper. I just finished the dishes, strolling around a little bit, taking a little tour, seeing if there's any wildlife moving I could film. Nothing so far. Just taking it easy today. I hiked along Francis Creek for maybe a kilometer today. I crossed the creek and went up a pretty steep hill to see if that was the trail I was going to be taking tomorrow. There was signs of horses being there and some mushrooms, but that's not the trail I want. Instead, I want to take this one going southwest behind the cabin towards BC. In fact, tomorrow I'll come within probably half a kilometer of BC. Kakwa Mountain is actually divided by the border, so part of Kakwa Mountain is on the BC side, and the side that I was on yesterday was in Alberta. And yeah, I'll just keep heading southwest until eventually I gotta start heading straight east. I got probably a solid 20-kilometer walk tomorrow to get myself to Trench Creek Cabin. In the meantime, I'm just gonna continue reading. First off, Mac and Rembrandt staged a fight with the harried Sam. They would have to have assistance. The work was so formidable there was no time for them to get to the studio. It's 9:15, beginning of day 3. I'm already about a kilometer into this. A couple of horsebackers came in, stayed in the cabin last night. So had some good food and a few drinks, and now hiking up this mountain, heading for Trench Creek Cabin. It's pretty steep going up this little mountain here, and it's even hard to lay down and have a rest just because of how steep it is. That's where I came from. coming down off of this mountain in this little creek run here, and I got an obstacle. I either have to go under this little tunnel, or I have to go over it. I don't want to go over it because it's pretty slanted and it's very slippery. You can hear water dripping behind me. I don't want to risk sliding 20 meters off the edge of that, so I'm going to go under it. But this is also very... It's also very dangerous because of how much it's melting right now. It's a pretty hot day. It's almost like a rainforest in there. It's pouring in there, so I'm gonna have to go in and out as fast as I can. That's the mountain I came from. I will now have to climb this pass since I am surrounded by a bowl of mountains. There's the mountain I came from. There's Mount May. So that's the pass I used to get to where I am now. I came down that gully, quite steep, crossed through that creek, came up, and now I'm up on this mountain. Still got a ways to go to get up it, and that's the edge I'm looking over. I just came over the side of that mountain. Now I gotta head down. Heading down to the South Kakwa River. This is definitely one of the steepest downhill climbs I've ever had to do. It's loose shale in a lot of spots. That was the mountain that I just passed over. I'm on a little flatter ground now. And that was easily one of the hardest parts of the day. Coming down that little creek system, the fir were very thick, and it was quite the challenge to push my way through. Not only dealing with the fir, but also trying to watch my steps, since I was going pretty steep down that hill. Alright, I'm back on flat, level ground again. I just came out by the South Kakwa River and I'm on the horse trail. So now I got to truck 3.2 kilometers to try to get to the cabin before dark. Probably got about an hour left. Looks like I lost the battle to time. It's 20 to 9. I just spent about 30 minutes wandering around aimlessly in willows and fir, lost in the dark in the Rocky Mountains and Kakwa Wildlands. Not a clue where I was, other than my GPS. I lost this horse trail quite a few times today, and I am exhausted, but thankfully I'm back on it, and I've only got about 700 meters to go, and I can't wait to get in that cabin. I just want to get out of the bush. I've been going for over 11 hours now. It's almost 10 p.m. Still no sign in the cabin. I'm pretty convinced that I must have passed it somehow. It's just so hard to stay on this horse trail when you can't see nothing. So I'm gonna, since it's a nice warm clear night, I'm giving up the search, and I'm gonna build a bit of a wall against some of these trees and get a nice fire going. Good morning. Day 4. Slept on the ground because I couldn't find the cabin last night. And now I'm going to backtrack and try to find this cabin so I can spend tonight in the cabin. It's already 9:40, so I got to get moving. Hopefully track down this cabin sometime afternoon. I'm going to walk back about 2 kilometers and look where it should be. If I can't find it, I'm just going to come back to where this fire is and continue on and forget about it. You know, it's crazy. I was navigating through the night there and I stopped and had to make a shelter, but I think I made the right choice. If I kept on going the way I was going, I would have just got myself further away from the cabin. I backtracked, and across the meadow I could see it looked like where a horse trail was, and there was little logs made as a bridge. So I followed it, and look what I found. What a beautiful sight to see. This is so remote, this cabin. I had to spend the night just looking for it, and there's no question I made the right choice of making that fire and sleeping the night by under the spruce trees. If I continued to wander around in the bush, it was only a matter of time before I fell and got hurt or something bad happened. I stopped where I saw a good wood supply. I made a fire, and that was the right move because there is not a chance I would have found this cabin. You had to look to the left across the meadow just to see the sign of a trail, and I could have been an elk trail for all I knew. It just happened to lead me here. Some good old minestrone for breakfast, for lunch. Now this meal is quite the reward. Didn't expect this. You know, yesterday I hiked for over 12 hours and only 2 kilometers of that was on horse trail. The rest of the time was going over mountain ridges. I summited 2 mountains, walked through some muskeg, downsloped a steep mountain that took me a long time. It is a brutal hike. A lot of dense fir I had to cross through, a couple of creek crossings. And you know, I slept on the ground last night, so I'm pretty exhausted right now. I'm beaten up feeling. And now, this is the payoff. I get to sleep at a nice warm cabin tonight and have a nice warm meal right now. Nothing like a good hot cup of tea. Nothing like a good hot cup of tea after a long day yesterday. Sit back, relax. I just finished cleaning the cabin. I spent most of the morning doing that. I'm also reading a little bit of first aid while I wait for some other stuff to boil. Boiling some water for dishes and stuff. And yeah, I'm just going to enjoy this cup of tea now. Oh, that's delicious. You know, I've been hanging out at this cabin all day, cleaning, cooking meals or whatever. It's been a really good day overall. I feel quite a bit recovered already, rested up. And I was just reviewing a lot of my footage, and I got thinking, where did this all start? Where did I start filming? Why am I doing these trips all the time? And I think it all started when I was doing lots of crazy hikes without any cameras or nothing. Even back to when I was 16, and I had so many crazy stories to tell. Like, I caught a beaver barehanded one day. I got bluff charged by a black bear. I seen two white-tailed deer bucks fighting each other. I was seeing all kinds of crazy stuff out in the wilderness. And when I told the stories, I kind of just got the reaction of, oh, the big fish that got away, right? So I went and bought myself a video camera my first summer working. I was in grade 9, between grade 9 and 10 I think. I got my video camera and started filming the hikes I was doing, except I wasn't talking to the camera at all. I was just filming random things I seen. But that was with an old TRV 330 Sony, and I can't get any footage off of the VHS tapes as of yet, but that's really where this all began for me. I don't know, just hanging around a cabin like this all day, it gives you a lot of time to think, and that happens to be what I was thinking about today. So I just thought that would be interesting to share, and I'm gonna call it a night pretty early tonight. It is only 20 to 6 p.m., but I mean, I might as well get to bed early. When I wake up at 8 or 9 a.m. hopefully, there's a possibility I might try to summit that mountain. It looks within my range of what I can do. I might try to summit that, but I also have to make sure I preserve my energy so I can get back out of here. Today is Thursday. I'm planning on staying here again tomorrow night, Friday, and then that only leaves me 2 days to get out of here. Over 30 kilometers of walking to get out of here, and who knows what kind of problems I'll run into then. The good news though is I did manage to find 4 extra AA batteries, which was starting to become a problem because my GPS was burning through them pretty quick, and I was getting worried that I would have to get out of here with no GPS.
Well, I can't get the wood stove to work inside the cabin. It's smoking out the cabin, it's leaking somewhere. I don't know, something's wrong with the vents or something. So I got a nice fire going here now. As you can see, I moved down to the lower bunk because that stove is not working properly. It's smoking the place out. Smoke is coming out the sides of it, out and the top of it, everywhere. So I gotta wait for this fire to die out. And it's gonna be a cold night because I'm not gonna be able to stoke the fire. Which means I gotta sleep under this extra mattress here, which has been taking quite a bit of mouse activity, shall we say. And I'm going to leave the window open, but I am going to shut the door. And this is the least smoke filled area right here, so it's important to keep some oxygen going. Good morning. Now that was a cold night. Couldn't have a fire in here at all, and I had to leave the windows open most of the time. So I ended up sleeping outside for a couple hours. What a cold night.
Alright, gonna go for a little day hike, just hike around the general area, check out these creeks.
Back from about a 5-kilometer hike, back in the cabin. Now the whole afternoon is mine and take it easy. I'm not going to try to summit any mountains or anything like that. I realize now I need as much energy as I can to get back out of here tomorrow. Not looking forward to tomorrow now. It's been raining for about the past 20 minutes. I'm just gonna get some lunch ready here, and this is not good. At least I'm safe in this shelter here in this cabin, but the thing I'm worried about is how I got over a 30-kilometer walk, and if the bush is soaked, it's not gonna be a fun day. I hope to make it to my truck in one day, but chances are I'll have to sleep in a shelter tomorrow night. Well, this is it. This is my last meal in this cabin before I take off on a pretty extensive journey tomorrow. Over 30 kilometers back to my truck, possibly with another night in the bush somewhere. So I'm really going to enjoy this. Cabin's already a little bit cold. I can tell it's going to be a rough night. But this is hot soup. And I put a bit of pepper in it. It's pretty spicy. And it's going to help me out a lot in recovering. This is hot tea. And before I take off, I'll have one more breakfast, one more bowl of oatmeal, and then it's time to pack up and hit the road. Well, the day is pretty much wrapped up now. I just spent the past couple hours cleaning the cabin, making sure I got all my gear together. Well, good night again. One more cabin sleep, and then I'm out of here. As you can see, I'm in underneath my mouse-infested mattress again, and ready to call it a night. It's just 6:15, and I think it's a good time to catch some sleep. Need as much rest as possible. And actually I got the lantern going on the table, and that's giving me way more heat than the wood stove did even, which is amazing. I am having a bit of a hard time getting to sleep here. It's only 8 p.m. Can't seem to sleep. It's been pouring for the past 2 hours. And this is not good news for me. Not only do I have to walk through the wet bush all day tomorrow, and possibly another day after that. When I get to my truck, I've got about a 2-hour drive through some pretty treacherous spots, and I just hope that it isn't raining this hard over there. I could end up stranded in my truck, which is what's making me lose my sleep right now. The thought of getting to my truck and not being able to move it anywhere. Maybe a couple kilometers. There's several river crossings I have to do with it, and it's a really rough ride. So this rain is not good for me. Good morning. It's day 6, and I slept without a fire again. The lantern gave me a fair amount of heat, and I was able to actually get a few hours of sleep. It's only 4:30 right now in the morning, and I am preparing some hot water so I can make some oatmeal and some tea before I go,
It rained fairly hard all night, and the bush is going to be wet, so I need to be at my best. I got at least 30 kilometers to go, and I do want to make it out of here. So I got quite the challenge ahead of me.
Well, it's 10 after 10 now. Quite a ways down the trail. Actually, I'm not on any trail at all. I walked for 2 hours in total darkness until I got bright enough to see, until I could actually read my map. I stayed on the trail almost all the way through the dark, and then when it broke day, I got into some meadows again and got off the trail. And now I've given up on the trail and I'm cutting straight across to try to cut off the trail. 2 kilometers up, it bends over and I'm trying to cut that off so I find it. It's been a pretty cold morning. I'm sweating underneath my jacket, but I'm scared to take my jacket off because of how cold it'll be when the wind hits me. So I'm just trucking along as fast as I can. I really want to cross Kakwa River and get this over with. The thing is, if I go to the Francis Falls, I have to cross Kakwa River 3 times. Whereas if I just cross once and come out at the Dead Horse Meadows, I'm near my truck, only about 1.5 kilometers from my truck, I think. So looks like my best option right now is to cross Kakwa and head for Dead Horse Meadows. Still quite a long walk though. And it's actually snowed a little bit. It's kind of misty and raining right now. I don't know if you can even see that. But for about 15 minutes it was snowing, which didn't help warm me up at all. And now I'm just bushwhacking through this wet ground and everything and hoping to get to a dry trail soon. Well, the snow's coming down quite hard now, and I'm gonna have to put away the camera. If it's not snowing, it's raining. If it's not raining, it's snowing. So camera's going away, and I gotta focus on getting back on the horse trail, and I've got a long journey ahead of me. I started walking in the dark, and I'll probably walk into the dark. Oh, right now it's 2:40 p.m. and I just had a rough few hours. Crossed the Kakwa River.
I'm soaked to the bone. I was soaked to the bone long before I even got to the Kakwa River. Even a little bit of shivering. It was snowing pretty hard, raining pretty hard, switching on and off, and then I had to cross waist deep water. Not quite waist deep, a little over my knees, and it was just insane. And I finally caught a dry break. It stopped raining for a few minutes here, so filming as much as I can. Taking a little lunch break, have this granola bar. And I have covered a lot of distance ever since I crossed the Kakwa. It's been a good trail, so I'm covering a lot of ground. I got approximately 10 more K to go to my truck, but not a lot of daylight. 5 more hours probably should get me there for sure. Beautiful. Another little creek crossing here. It's starting to snow again, so I'm gonna have to put the camera away. And I'm so glad I never chose to take the Francis Peak route. I would have had to cross Kakwa 3 times. Once is plenty enough for me on a snowy day like this in almost waist deep water. I'm headed back to my truck. Let's take a look at my windshield. I was shivering so much for the past couple hours that I honestly didn't think I'd make it out. Thought I was gonna have to stop and make a fire. And I don't even think I could have got a fire going with how cold I am. I think I made the right choice by giving her all the way to the truck. But I left at 5 in the morning and it's 7 p.m. now. So that means I was walking for 14 hours. I'm gonna let the truck warm up for about 5 or 10 minutes. It's still snowing hard, and I'm just so thankful I'm sitting in this truck right now. I'm drenched to the bone.